Hi everyone, my name is Kathy, and this is the Getting Started videos for the students in the CPA and CPP program at Seneca Polytechnic. In particular, this video is for those of you who use a Mac. And what I'm going to be showing you in this video, well, this and actually a couple of other videos, is the software that you will need to use as a student in the CPA or CPP programs. Now, the software I'm cutting this guide into several videos because it makes for a shorter video and it's easier for me to record it properly. That's why it will be in separate videos, just so that no video is really, really long. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so to get started, we're going to go to a website called gettingStarted.stds.ca. Now, this is actually the Getting Started guide for students in the programs CPA and CPP and BSD and some others as well. This sort of details things like hardware, software, questions that you may have about, like, what machine should I buy or whatever it is, or what software should I use, what software do I use, and things like that. So I'm going to be pointing out the Mac specific things that is in this guide. Now, some of the Mac specific parts are actually a little bit wrong, so I'm going to try to point those out as we go. But effectively, if you're looking for sort of like the written version of what we're doing, follow this guide. Okay, so go here and you can sort of get the written version. I'll tell you which parts to ignore. Now, in this video, I'm just going to give you a brief overview, and then in the next videos, I'll talk about some very specific pieces of software that you will need to use. Okay, so what do you need? First of all, you need a good browser. And really what that means is that in Macs, when you get your Mac, you always get Safari, but you need to download two more browsers. The first one is Firefox. Excuse me. The second one is Chrome, or a Chromium-based browser, which is Chrome, Brave, Edge. Those are all Chromium-based. It basically means that they all are based on the Chromium open source browser. You need one of those, and you need Firefox. Firefox is not based in Chromium, okay? So you need one of each. Typically Firefox and Chrome. Now, the second part is you need Microsoft Office. So this is your Excel, Word, whatever, PowerPoint, etc. And you can get that without having to pay any money. So as a Seneca student, you actually have access to the software through your account. So don't buy a subscription or anything like that. Your student fees already have covered this. You just log in with your Seneca account. You can use the web version, or if you want the local version, you can do that and then just sign in. Now, the next few pieces of software include something called the VPN. Now, you might have heard about this in terms of like using a VPN to access Netflix or something like that, right? But this VPN is virtual private networks. It also can serve as basically a way of protecting computers. So we use the VPN software if we want to access Seneca internal machines from outside of Seneca. So that's where we use the VPN software. And I'm going to talk about that in the VPN video. The next one is called a terminal. Now, this is, sorry, this is one of the things that you should not follow the Getting Started guides on. The Getting Started guide tells you that you need something called PuTTY. You do not need PuTTY. Don't get it. It's nah. Okay. Use the thing that comes with your computer, which is called terminal. I'll show you how to access that. You need an FTP client of some sort. I'm going to show you how to use FileZilla. And then you need some sort of IDE. Now, an IDE is basically a place where you can write your code and you can compile it. And there's a debugger, visual debugger of some sort. And there's two for you to choose from on a Mac. There's VS Code and Xcode. And I am having a little bit of trouble running Xcode because I haven't my OS properly or Xcode properly on this particular machine. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of software updates, and hopefully I can get that going as well today. But I will try to, if I can't record it on this machine, I'll record it on my other machine. Okay, but that's what it is. The other option is Visual Studio Code, which is available on Macs, Windows, everything. So it's kind of nice as well. So these are the options. Now, one of the other things that you may need to do at some point is you might need to run Windows. Okay, I know as a Mac user myself, it's not a thing that I love to do, but sometimes there's just software that you have to have, and it only works in Windows. So now, what are the things that, how do you run Windows specific software, or how do you run Windows when you really need it? So for example, in your first semester, you have an OPS 102 course where you have to be able to run Windows commands, right? So first of all, if you don't want to have a Windows machine, you don't have to. The Seneca actually has many labs with Windows machines in them, so you can make use of those. These labs are not even like you don't have to just be in the class to use them. There are open labs that are available like as long as the school is open. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, is there a Windows machine that I can use? There's a Windows machine that you can use at school. Okay. Now, of course, it's always nice to have your own, right? So what are the options if you need to use Windows and you own a Mac? Well, now there are two kinds of Macs out there. There's the more recent Macs that I will call the M series Macs. Those are the M1, M2, M3 chip Macs. So if you bought a Mac within the last 3 years or so, chances are it's an M series Mac. Not always. It depends on when you bought it exactly, right? So within the last up to about 3 years ago, you're likely to be running an M series Mac. If that's the case, then the only way to run Windows is using something called a VM. Now, there's different VM software out there, and you will have to buy one. So, for example, there's Parallels, there is VMware, and I think there's one called VirtualBox. There's a whole bunch of this software that lets you run basically a pretend version of whatever operating system that's it. So you don't really have this machine. It's called a virtual machine. Okay. But so it's as a machine that's simulated in software instead of hardware. So you can run those. If you have an older Mac, so if your Mac is more than 3 years old, you might have an Intel Mac. Now, one of the good things about an Intel Mac is that you can actually run Windows on the Mac itself. You will have, and you can do it in several ways. You can run it just as a VM, just like with the M series Macs. You can run it as a VM. You can also literally carve off a part of your hard drive and turn it into a Windows machine. So now don't do this if you have a very small hard drive. Okay, Windows requires at least 100 gigs of hard drive space. Do not believe them when they tell you you only need 65 gigs. That is not true. They're lying. Okay, trust me, I've already made this mistake. So when you're trying to install, you're going to need like, and so 100 gigabytes. Now, remember that if you take 100 gigabytes for Windows, you lose 100 gigabytes for your Mac side, right? So just be aware of that. But you do need about 100 gigs. And so you kind of format part of your drive as like as a Windows partition, and then you use this Boot Camp assistant to install Windows onto your Mac. And you can literally when you boot up, you can boot up in Windows, you can boot up in Mac and run either, whichever one you want. And you can even access your Windows partition from Mac. And it's kind of really nifty. So I actually do it that way. I have a Boot Camp partition, but I also run some VM on it so that I can have access to my Windows machine from my Mac. It's kind of neat. Okay, so in any case, lots of options for you. Which one you choose depends a little bit on your computer, but you can definitely do this with your Mac. Okay, you can definitely do the program with your Mac. In any case, I'm going to stop here. And in the next video, I'm going to be talking about the VPN as well as the terminal and FTP programs. Okay, thanks everyone.